Hey, welcome back to another Just 15 Minutes, which, again, as ever, it's been a while actually. I've had a few health things. Who cares, you might say, and quite rightly so. Anyway, but we're going to try to keep to 15 minutes, and essentially, I'm jumping on the vibe coding train. Well, everybody else is, but I'm trying to see because I've used there's a few of these things out there, and I've got a bit of an apology because I did a video a while ago, actually, certainly a few months ago, with Cursor AI using local LLM, and I realised, and it was really bad. I've had a couple of comments, not too many, but then that's probably indicative of how many people actually watch this. But anyway, a couple of people did mention that I didn't really show them the actual gluing together of how you can use Cursor AI with a local LLM, and I'm really sorry for that. But the idea is, I think when I had a look, you might want to check the latest blog for Cursor AI, because at the time they said they didn't support local LLMs, but they were considering it. And when you look at the Cursor AI feature request, that is one of the biggest ones. But anyway, I found this link as well. I'll put these in the show notes below for easy reference. This is one where someone is using Cursor with local LLM using Ollama, which I have done a video. Oh, there's loads of videos out there, but I did do a video about running Ollama. It's very simple. In fact, if you're fortunate to use one of the latest sort of Macs with the M chips, basically, I think Docker now do provide, you can run local LLMs, but you do need, it's only for at the moment, which is understandable because it's the M chip that's got all the extra processing power. And I think it might be even an M3 or an M4 chip that you need. Anyway, Docker, you can run Docker containers like local LLMs. Okay. But even without that, you can run Ollama. Okay, so again, have a look at Ollama. I'll put the links below. But anyway, the whole point is this Cursor one does use things like Ollama and ngrok and a couple of other things. Now, that's the problem. If you follow this through, whoever's written this, it's somebody called Tim25651. It does look as if it will work. I haven't personally tried it, but if you do want Cursor with local LLM, that's an option. But also check out the latest Cursor information, because again, I think that we're getting a lot of requests to actually do that. Okay, so we'll pop that in the show note. But the other thing is, if you just want to use, because let's face it, Windsurf and Cursor, they're all based on Visual Studio Code, aren't they? So if you go and grab the Visual Studio Code Insiders, where you get the little green Visual Studio Code, okay, interestingly, I don't know when this actually first came in. It's been a few weeks that I'm aware of as the time of this recording, at least. So what's that? The 14th of April, 2025. But if you get the Visual Studio Code Insiders version, okay, the latest one I would recommend, and you can have Copilot, GitHub Copilot free, okay. I do have a subscription because I do a lot of work with Copilot, but it's got very generous free limits, basically. But if you have a look and you go to the little GitHub Copilot there. Now, you might need to go and log in, create a free GitHub Copilot or GitHub account, and you will get GitHub Copilot for free. Okay, so once you've done that, if you open up chat, you'll notice down here, first of all, it's got the edit mode and more importantly, the agent mode, which is what Cursor AI, Windsurf, and all those things are working with. Okay, so the idea is you can then select from quite a few different models now. You know, there's Gemini, there's Claude 3.7, which, to be honest, for coding seems to be really good. I haven't even tried the thinking version. I would hope that the other one thinks, but maybe it didn't. But anyway, you've got things like O1 Preview, O3 Mini, GPT-4o. It's getting really confusing, isn't it? But if you go to Manage Models, okay, you can select a few other ones, including Azure. So that's Azure AI Foundry. There's loads of models, blah, blah, blah. You have to go through all that. You've got Grok as well, if you're a Grokky fan. But also you've got OpenAI, where you can go direct using your own API. But interestingly, you've got, I haven't used OpenRouter, sorry, I don't know about that one, but Ollama. So again, if you go to the Ollama website, you can run Ollama as a Docker container, but you can just run it on Windows, Mac, Linux, and you can select a local model. Now, you'll not get the big LLMs running locally. That just isn't possible on a normal PC unless you've got really powerful NVIDIA graphics cards, or, you know, the AI sort of processing stuff that's in like the Copilot Plus PCs and all those sorts of things. But if you use something like Ollama to run like Llama 3.8 or whatever it was, or 4 now, you can run some local models pretty well. And so in the VS Code Insiders, it isn't the release version of Visual Studio Code. You do have to get the Insiders version to get that, but that might give you a completely free way of essentially getting, I don't mean to bash Cursor or Windsurf, but with the latest version of VS Code, it's got the agent mode now. You've got lots of models, and you can hook into local models as well. So that's a bit of a rambling apology for that video that I did with Cursor with local models, because I didn't really show enough of the detail to get that working. So let's jump in. So what are we going to do today? Well, basically, we're on the vibe train, you know, the vibe coding. And I've picked 3. The good thing is, all of these things that I'm going to show you are completely browser-based to start with. You don't need to download any software. Some of them actually use VS Code in the cloud, which is really cool. And all of them have at least got a free account. Now, what I would say, it's like everything for free. It'll get you sort of into it, but I've noticed a few of these that I've used, you only have so many sort of like tokens that you can use per month, and you do have to wait unless you upgrade, but you are getting it for free. Okay, so I'm going to show 3. One is Lovable, which my friend Tim Abel originally sent me. Okay, this is a complete there it is, superhuman full stack engineer in the browser. Again, none of these things require credit cards. None of them require downloading any IDEs or software. Okay, so Lovable, Replit, which I did a just 5 minutes podcast on. It's really quite interesting, actually. It's got like it's not just a vibe coding, AI coding, browser-based system. It's a little bit more than that. It's got, you can deploy your app so people can actually use the app online. It's got some quite neat things. There's even things like bounties where you can technically, you know, ask people to pay for the use of your application, or people might create an app with Replit but then need dare I say, a real developer to go take it a little bit further. So there's bounties that are in there as well. Quite interesting thing. Replit, I must admit, it's got some, you know, it's got some sort of leg there. Leg? It's got some leg. What am I talking about? It's got some traction. I don't know what I was talking about. And fairly recently, Google, not to be outdone, have released something called Firebase Studio. So for a long time, Google had something called Firebase, where they've got like a Firebase database that you can use. It's all SaaS based, it's all cloud based. And you can write functions and code and all sorts of things. But recently, again, at the time of this recording, they've released Firebase Studio. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a look at all three of them using one standard prompt for all of them. And the prompt is going to say, I want to build a quotations app with a really nice inspirational picture at the top, some inspirational text. I want it to come from like a JSON file. If you're not au fait with JSON, it's just a data structure, but it's a way of defining an image, the text, image, text, image, text. It's not a database, but I would be able to maybe take this further, build an API with a database later. So that's what we're going to try in just 15 minutes, which I've already used 11 of them doing the apology. So we'll see how far we get. Okay, so the first vibe coding online app I'm going to use is Lovable. Again, I'll put the links below, so that's not a problem. So Lovable is, I think, a Scandinavian company. I do apologise. I should have done the research, shouldn't I? It's a professional website, this, But anyway, Lovable is, as I mentioned in the intro, it's a complete browser-based, full-stack engineer sort of vibe coding environment. And again, you can ever look into this. They do have a free version. I don't know what the limits are off the top of my head. You can find that. And the only other thing is as well, I think all your apps with this one have to be public. You have to have a subscription to use the private one. Okay. But anyway, I'm going to start because let's face it, I've got a prompt. I'm going to paste in a prompt that I've created now. I've pasted this in because I'm going to use it for the Firebase Studio example and Replit as well. Okay. So what I've done, you can read that on the screen anyway. It's a quotation app with a nice image, inspirational image, a nice inspirational quote. It's going to stay on the screen for 30 seconds. You can swipe left and right. Now, I've specifically not said what technology stack to use. Okay. I thought, okay, I'll let the AI decide that. Okay. But I'm going to use that exact same prompt in the other example. So I'll tell you what, let's give this a go. Let's see where we get to. Okay, so it's spinning up a preview. And again, all of this is running in the browser. There's nothing. So it's got like a virtual machine that it's running, so you can run everything in the browser. And you can see I'm inspired to create a beautiful and serene quotations app. Well, thank you. For this, there we go. It's going to tell us what it's going to do. A clean minimalist interface, blah, 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 blah. I asked specifically for a JSON data source for the quotes and images, so that's good. Mainly because I don't want to create a database at the moment or an API. I just want to keep it quite simple. It's got subtle animations. I'm guessing by .tsx, this is going to be a React-based app. I think that's TSX, isn't it, if I remember right? So, but I honestly don't care because these environments are meant for essentially non-coders or very low coders to be able to build these things. And, now, here we go. We've got a preview already. That was quite interesting. It hasn't really done what I asked, but it actually looks a bit better. It's filled the whole screen with the image and got the quotation over the top. That's actually quite okay. So What's it said here? Oh, it's got GitHub integration to sync your code. Hey, it took 30 seconds there to go to the next one. By the way, they all of these that I'm about to show you do have hooks into either their own database or they're using third-party online databases like Supabase, for instance, which is really good. It's essentially Postgres, but it's hosted. You don't have to manage the database, blah, blah, blah. So I can see it's got what's next, refine and customize, tweak the design. Actually, this, I have to say, is quite nice. Now I've got little, because obviously I'm just on a desktop browser. Can I go back, for instance? I can. Can I get, oh, look at that. I can go back. I can go forward. Actually, as a quotation app, this isn't really that bad. Now, I'd like to see the code. If I go up to the top here, I can look at the code viewer. Okay, now, interestingly, I don't know behind the scenes. I haven't looked into this. I don't know if they're using VS Code or something like that, but I can see they've got like essentially a code editor. This is actually quite nice. Yeah, it is React. I thought it was. Okay, so they've got some components. I can see navigation controls. Okay, now I'm not a React developer, but I mean, I know enough of JavaScript to have a look, and fair enough, they're doing a lot of stuff here that I haven't had a chance to read, obviously, but it looks just like React components, really. So let's have a look at the data. Okay, so the data is coming. So there's the JSON data that I mentioned. So it's a JSON array, okay, up to there. And it's got text, it's got a link. Obviously, at the moment, it's gone out to Unsplash. So it knows that, okay, Unsplash has got free images that we can use. And it's gone and generated some quotes. So it's obviously gone out to the internet to basically go get some quotations. Whether these are correct or not, I have no idea, but I'm assuming hopefully they are. So it's got essentially an interface, a class basically of the quotation text. So and that has actually come out really nicely. It's got some basic index HTML there. Like I say, it's got our pages. There we go. So it's got, yeah, okay. That's where the components are going to be rendered for the React stuff. There's some hooks and libs. Like I say, I'm not a React developer, so I know some of this. I know conceptually what this looks like. But if I go back to the, that is actually quite nice. For something that I've just hit one prompt, that isn't bad at all. And what it's saying, what's next is refine and customize. Yep, fine. We could do some nice, it's doing some nice transitions at the moment, actually. Use clear, detailed and iterative prompts. Yeah, okay. Like I say, you can hook into GitHub to save your code. So it's got a two-way sync. That's quite good, actually. So you can source control your code that is getting generated here. Okay. So if this looks like it's a good version, you could, and I can see a little icon up there. We won't go into it at the moment, but you could sync to your GitHub repository and say, well, this is my first version. So if it goes and stuffs anything up and doesn't look very good, you can roll back and do the usual thing with source code. Okay. And of course, you could connect Supabase to basically provide the image references, the quotations in a database that you could potentially update yourself. And it also, as it mentions, provides an API to pull that data back, because at the moment we're just pulling that back in just that JSON file that we had a quick look at. Actually, so far, Lovable, that is impressible. I'm looking at Supabase. I don't know. I'm reading and not making much sense. It's impressive. That's what I wanted to say. And obviously, I could go and publish this now. And ultimately, because I can see the code, the code could be hosted somewhere. Now they publish it and it would be public. Again, I haven't looked in deep enough. They've given me a link here at the top left where I could, I think I can share that and I can do whatever I can do that, but anyone can view and remix it. Now, as I say, if you've got a paid version, you can publish this as a private app. I think you can also bind your own domain to it as well. So it really has actually built a proper app. There's all the code. If you were a React developer or got a React developer to help, you could probably take that further, or indeed, as it mentions, carry on prompting. So anyway, for starters, Lovable definitely for a nice sort of quotation app. That is really quite nice. I'm impressed. Wow. Okay, let me move the microphone over here so you can hear me. So that wasn't too bad at all. Lovable. Let's go and have a look at Replit. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing. So let me drop the quote in. Okay, it's got the same sort of thing. There's an improved prompt. I haven't tried these, but let's do the same thing and we'll just start building. Okay, so a bit like Lovable, it's going to think about that. It's going to build an environment for me to use. So it's very similar. Again, all of this is free. All of this is in the browser. Okay, so it's reviewing my message. Actually, I was impressed with Lovable speed. I know it was a very simple app, but it was still pretty quick. I didn't have to pause and wait and all that sort of stuff. So here we go. Build the initial prototype. Okay. It's going to use SHA-CDN. Oh yeah, okay. For the UI, I've only just noticed that actually. It's like a new UI sort of framework. But anyway, that's for another video at some time. So, would you like any of these additional features? Build an API? Well, yeah. I mean, I would like to do that later. Add favorites so you could save preferred quotes. Yeah, let's tick that. That's actually quite impressive that it's come up with that. Implement categories for quotes. Motivate. Yeah, why not? Let's do that. Add share functionality for social media. Well, I won't do that because I haven't done that for Lovable so far. So there we go. It reckons that we're going to get a visual preview in 2 minutes, and a first app version in 10 minutes. Well, okay. It is free, you know, in all fairness, and it says there you can get notified when your app's ready. I'll just pause the video, so don't worry, you don't have to wait. Let's approve the plan and start. Okay. So again, a bit like Lovable, this is actually spinning up an actual virtual machine environment for you, free. So this is quite incredible. And by the way, when you look at the prices, they're all similar to start with. They're all roughly about $25 a month without tariff charges. Sorry, I'm not a political person, don't worry. I just thought that'd be a bit of fun, but not at the same time. Anyway, so they're about $25 a month for a full version that you can go and have a look at the limits, but they're fairly reasonable. But yeah, the agent is still working. I can already see it's got a nice image. Now, funny enough, this is what I did ask for, is the top 2/3 of the screen is the image and the bottom is where a nice font's going to be used, which it has actually done it. I did actually like the Lovable version. It sort of looked quite nice with the text over the image. So it's doing, and I can see again, it's funny, isn't it? They're obviously, all these AIs are picking up the fact that React is a very common sort of front-end development environment. So I don't know what it's using at the back end, possibly Node or something. I'm not sure, or Next, actually, Next.js probably, isn't it? But anyway, it's sort of going going through. Is it allowing me to go? No, it hasn't quite finished. I can see the little arrows there, but it hasn't quite implemented those yet. It is still creating a whole version here. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pause, but we'll see how long it actually takes, because it is going and running around doing what it needs to. But to save you some time, I'll just pause and reset the video once it's completed. Okay, Replit has gone through a few things. Once I paused, it was doing a few things, and it said it. So first of all, Lovable first shot did everything that I wanted to. Okay, Replit did say I need to fix storage implementation. It's not a function, which means we need to update. Well, why did it know that in the first place? Anyway, we won't get vibe rage. I think that's going to be a thing, isn't it? Vibe coding rage. But anyway, I can see it's gone and tried to fix it. I didn't do any other inputs, by the way. So I can see that it's now saying I fixed the storage implementation, blah, 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 blah. What do you reckon? Implemented responsive UI with animations. How does the app look? Well, it took a while there to actually display that last image. It does look really nice, but I've got these buttons now. Can I go previous? Yeah, it seems to take a while to reload the image, and given the fact that I did ask that this is local from a JSON file, that's taking quite a while, isn't it? It did come up. It did. I think what it's doing is when you hit one of the left or right buttons to go previous or next, it's waiting for 30 seconds and not showing the image, because there we are. There was 30 seconds there, and it's now shown the next image. But if I go next, I bet it's going to do the same thing. It's got the, oh no, it's so there is a bug there, because when I go back, it doesn't show the previous image. But if I go forward, that's quite nice. Yeah. Forward again. Does that work? Yeah. Okay. So it's not too bad. It had a few hiccups along the way, but it did fix them. As I say, if I go back, I think the back is where it's, oh no, it's working now. There you go. So maybe it was a cache thing. I don't know. But again, I've now got the ability to deploy, basically. So this is where it gets quite interesting with Lovable. Now, to be honest, Lovable might also offer these types of options. But you can, because this is only using a static web page, it basically, it's not letting me use the static pages. You do have to upgrade to use some of these things. Okay. But it's got an auto scale VM. Now you've got to be really careful with this stuff, because if people suddenly or bots start using your app in anger, then if you haven't got limits and alerts and things there, you could run into problems rather quickly with your bank account. It's got reserved VMs as well, and in behind this, by the way, I've got a feeling they mentioned something about AWS for the servers, or Google Cloud Compute, things like that. So they are real environments. So this is quite interesting. Can I get to look at the code? I think I can. Where's the code bit? Sorry, it's running. I'm sure I can, open files. There we go. Yeah. So again, this looks very similar to Lovable. It's not VS Code, I don't think, but I can see the all the code in the structure that I expect. It's using Tailwind by the looks of it for the CSS. It's got server. So what's it using in there? It's got some roots there. Okay, it's it looks like it's trying to use a local API because I think it's using this storage for the actual data. Maybe not. Maybe it is actually building that out. But anyway, I can see the client. I'm pretty sure. Yep. Once again, is going to be React. I didn't specify React, but I did say, just use, it's just used whatever is the most common thing. So you've got the code. You can hook this up to GitHub as well, or source control. If you have a look under tools, there is a way of doing that. You've got Git implementation here, so you can have version control on your code. So if this sort of works, you can do the same like we did with Lovable. You can say, okay, push that as a version, do some changes. Oh, it's gone wrong, roll back, all that type of stuff. So again, Replit, it's got there's a bit more of an ecosystem maybe around it, but it still created what we wanted to create like Lovable so far. So that's not too bad actually, and we could obviously take that a bit further. Okay, so that was Replit. So let's go on to the final one. It's a little bit longer video, this, isn't it? Crikey. Sorry for all those people who've fallen asleep. You can at least rewind, or not. But anyway, we're going to the final option, which is a fairly newcomer, this one. This is the Firebase Studio from Google, basically. So, same thing. It's got lots of things. By the way, most of those other tools, Lovable and Replit, you can indeed specify the tech stack that you want it to build on. Okay, I purposely haven't done that because I thought I'd just see what it comes up with. But same again with things like Firebase Studio. You can pick Python. It's got Go. There's no Rust on there at the moment, but it's got .NET. And I think .NET, it uses .NET Blazor. It's got Android Studio Cloud to build mobile apps, Flutter to build mobile apps. It's got Angular, of course, because it's Google, Next.js, because it's Next.js and React and everything. I can see Node. You've got Gemini API building, and there's a few others as well. But anyway, we're going to do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to paste in that same prompt, exactly same prompt. Okay, and let's prototype with AI. Let's do this. Okay. Well, there you go. There's a bit of a stop, isn't there? There was an error creating a workspace. Now, bearing in mind, this is new. This is in beta, I think, at the moment. Let me just try a refresh. You never know. It might work. It also might not. But let's try this. Okay. Is that looking better? I think it is. It's looking better. Okay. So, now the interesting thing that I've noticed with Firebase Studio, it's actually, I think Google have done quite a clever thing. They've literally integrated VS Code in the browser, a bit like GitHub GitHub Code Spaces, where you can use VS Code totally in the cloud. So you'll find when we have a look at the code, it literally is VS Code, which is quite, I think it's quite a nice angle that Google have taken there, because a lot of people are used to things like VS Code. Not that the other applications that we've been looking at, Lovable and Replit, you've still got a code editor. It doesn't ultimately matter. But anyway, back to this. Inspire Flow. Okay. Fetch image URLs, corresponding quotations from a JSON file. Good, that's what I asked for. Display the image at the top portion of the screen with fade in, fade out every 30 seconds. Quotation display, navigation, AI content tagging. Okay. Okay, it's going to categorize. Well, fair enough. And it's giving me some style guidelines. Now, I could go into edit this and customize and say, no, I want it in pink. Or unicorn colours of the rainbow. And I could no doubt, change all of this. But like we did with the other ones, just to give it a fair shot, I'm just going to say prototype this app. Let's do that. And a bit like all of those other environments, it's got its own virtual machine that it's essentially spinning up. I am a professional, honest, not really. And I can see it's flying through here, doing stuff. And surprise, surprise, because I didn't ask for any tech stack, it's got TSX. So that's React, isn't it? And probably Next.js at the back end or something. So, yeah, checking for errors. Well, that's always a good thing. You do want to do that, don't you? Now, by default, I believe this is using Gemini. Okay, I think it's using the latest Gemini that's out of the time of this recording. To be honest, I didn't look at Lovable and Replit, whether you've got a choice of models. So that's something to look into to see what model they might be using. But again, all of these are online. These are all on browsers. I've not downloaded anything. I've not configured anything local on my machine. So it is pretty impressive for all of these to be running in the browser and spinning up essentially a virtual machine in the background. You're getting, a free development machine. And again, I do know with Replit and firebase, actually, you do have quite constrained limits how much you can actually create, but it is free. So again, if you want to go and pay for it, they're all roughly in that same $25 a month sort of like range, but it depends what you're trying to build, isn't it? So okay, so this one, it doesn't look brilliant. It's got tag content because it said there, it's going to tag it. Looks like it's 30 seconds. It's faded. Has it done something else? Yeah, well, it's come up with another image, but it hasn't changed the text, has it? So go next. Okay. Yeah, that's got, I don't know, but if I'd call that an inspirational picture. I think, ironically, it's a bit, wow, that was a bit shorter than 30 seconds, isn't it? It's doing a bit too much of a fade there, really. It appears your app needs a Gemini API key. Well, there you go. There's something new. I didn't think it did. But I do believe you can actually get a free one, and it says about auto-generating one there. I'm not going to do that right now. You could probably have a go yourselves if that comes up. But I do believe there is a free version that you can get. But as always, check this. So, in fairness, this one, okay, it is new Firebase Studio, so I don't want to be too critical. But I can see if I go switch to code there, yep, you'll see this is where the big advantage, I think, with Firebase Studio is this is VS Code. You can log in to VS Code. I really am not speaking correctly, am I? You can log into VS Code when it lets me with your profile. You could obviously add different extensions if you're a VS Code person, but I can see that I've got a full environment, a full development environment here. Okay, now it's come up with Gemini, a bit like GitHub Copilot over this side, but there's my web app that I'm working on. So theoretically, if I knew what I was doing, again, I'm not a React developer, but I know enough to be dangerous, as they say. So yeah, okay, so it's got quotes that have come from an array. It hasn't actually come from a JSON file, although that is, I did actually specify a JSON file. But anyway, it's not quite working. It's doing, the fade is taking too long. I don't think it's waiting for 30 seconds. The forward, it did go to the next one. You see, but it jumped there, didn't it? It jumped to the next image and then another image after that. So it's doing something weird. There's a few bugs there that we would be able to, no doubt, go into Gemini. And by the way, that little button at the top there, you can switch back to the prototype which is where you don't have to look at the code, so you can carry on in the flow. But I wanted to show that because that is pretty impressive. I like the fact that they've used VS Code embedded in this one. So it's not done too bad a job, but I think out of all three, I have to say, I think Lovable basically did, without touching absolutely anything else, it did a really good job. That is actually really quite nice. And even though it created the whole image and the quote over the image, I actually quite like that. And it goes next, really slick. Yeah, it goes next. And it goes back. Yep, goes back. So out of all of them, I have to say, Lovable, whatever they're using in the background, worked really slickly off, the first thing. Now, again, not to dismiss Replit, because I'm sure I could say, hey, this isn't quite working and carry on. All of them have got essentially an online development environment, where you can look at the code if you really want to, but you can still use prompting to actually take it further. We're so spoiled these days. This is quite incredible. If you think back even just a few years ago, being able to have this possibility of building an app in the browser completely without downloading absolutely anything, and at least initially free. All of these things are free. I think Firebase, I like the fact that it's got VS Code. Didn't quite, maybe that's just the Gemini model that was being used, I'm not sure. Didn't quite do as good a job as the others. And Replit, of course, has got a whole ecosystem when you really look into it, to do with these things like bounties, and you can deploy where you want to. If you do have a paid environment, most of these are going to allow you to deploy privately so people can't copy your code, although let's face it, everybody can go and generate this stuff. And all of them, as I understand, I think even with obviously Firebase Studio, because you've got VS Code, you've got Git integration, source control integration. So all three of these platforms have got integration as well. So that was a rather long video, but I hope it was useful to go through and see these. For me at the moment, I know there's lots of others of these sorts of environments, but for a complete browser-based environment, completely free to at least start with, these three are my sort of go-tos to experiment with at the moment. So hopefully you found it interesting. Give a like and subscribe if you really want to. Doesn't cost you anything. But anyway, we'll catch you on the next one. So have a good day, have a good week, and yeah, happy vibe coding.